All right, everyone. I want to say thank you for watching today's video. Today, I'm going to be breaking down for you how you can personalize and localize your content the right way. Some really nice AI tools that you could use to really advance your customer journey much quicker, increase conversions on sales, and lower the demand on your service team. So let's get started on that today. But before we do, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to share, subscribe, and like the channel below. Hi, I'm Chris, the owner of Nitra Business. And today we're on the Artificial Intelligence YouTube channel. We're talking about using AI in the content journey the right way, personalization and localization. You've heard me talk about that before. But today we're talking about not just taking certain topics when we're writing. Look, blogging and AI, all these things are changing. Should we stop blogging? Some say yes, some say no. But remember this, AI is scraping your website. They've got to have something to scrape. What if when they scrape your website, though, they find something so unique that helps you stand out, helps you rank at the top of the AI models, Google, and your customer finds it so valuable that they're ready to buy from you almost instantly? Well, that's exactly what some of these tools can do. So let's jump into this first tool that I'm going to show you real quick. All right, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to go to ChatGPT and I want you to find this tool. And look, I didn't build this GPT. My good friend Marcus Sheridan did, and his company Impact. Let's go to Explore GPTs. Title codes right here. Go ahead and save this thing in your sidebar because you're going to find it to be extremely valuable. So in this situation, I'm going to use one of my own companies as an example. Now look, this is a super plain prompt. If I was doing this probably on my own, I'd be going over the Prompt Cowboy AI, putting this prompt in and going super detailed with it so I can really get a good output. Because remember, if we don't like the output, we've got to go back to the input. So let's just go ahead and put this in here for right now, though. And look, when it's analyzing this too, it's going to be coming up with titles, blogs, and all those things. You see, it's starting to analyze. It's telling me exactly what it's doing here. And look, this thing's about to get on steroids. It's showing me where the opportunity is. It's telling me the problems, comparisons. It's following the kind of the big five here. It's telling me what it recommends I do next. Pick a narrow focus or audience. So it's going to generate these title ideas. Look, these are really cool ideas. It's going through search. It's going through engine optimization. All those things are really awesome. And look at all these different things. Now here's the next thing, as it talks about these different things. Now watch this. No. Now I'm asking it to localize it for Birmingham, Alabama. Now, something else that, and I'm not going to show you how to do this in here, but right here you could go to files. And what you could do is you could upload a copy of your existing policies. My existing flood policies in Birmingham, Alabama, where all I have is the street address, the zip code, and then what I can do, and the premiums and the coverage amount. So what it's going to do is it tell me average coverage amounts, average premiums. Now I can take those zip codes. I can relate those zip codes back to certain neighborhoods. I can relate the streets back to these neighborhoods. Now I'm writing a piece of content that addresses the streets. It addresses neighborhoods and zip codes. So we're using Pelham. Pelham, if you're not familiar, Pelham is just a suburb of Birmingham, just south of there. But it's a very flood-prone area there. Now look at all these different neighborhoods here as I look to address these. So you're starting to see, how the way we're localizing this. So AI can see these things. Google can see these things. Customers see these things. Now, knowing all this, all right, so now you're starting to see how much is localized to here. Now, look, in just a minute, and I'm waiting on the back end for some of my AI tools to pull some of my data from my CRM. As I said, I'm pulling things like street address, zip code, coverage amounts, pricing, and all this. And then I'm going to add it in here. And then we're going to take this to the next level. I almost call this taking your content and putting it on steroids. Then when I have this, we can say, hey, what you'll pay for flood insurance in Ballantree versus Buck Creek. So if I've helped customers in Ballantree and Buck Creek, I can now use that data. And now I can kind of do these comparisons. I can do a self-assessment tool and calculators and all these different things. Look, that's just the cost and price. As I get into problems, I could look at, why your neighbor is paying more for or less for flood insurance than you are. All these different things. So as we have all these right here, and we could take each one of these and let's start with this. Let's go back over and see if my other thing is ready yet. All right, now let's have it help us start. Let's I just want to kind of get an example of when you should do a web page, when you should do a blog post here, and kind of these different examples. So you see now with these simple questions, like it's telling me right here, it's building this full content map, right? And this is just for Pelham, Alabama. Imagine like with us, when you serve the whole country, how busy you could stay on this, or how low if you're a super local insurance agency or local business, service business, how detailed you could be here, and your team could actually have real answers to real questions. So these would be pillar pages. Think of a pillar page as like a bike wheel. You got these different spokes coming into it, and you have the main topic here. Well, look, these are my different pillar pages. And you can see the different supporting content. So you see, it's giving you a whole different strategy here. The videos, all the stuff, lead magnets. Look, lead magnets are still a good thing. And like we've already got a lead magnet built for this right here on our website. We just have to localize it for Pelham. We could do an email series, all those things. Let's just have it help us draft. And And while it's doing that, let me check on something real quick. I'm still waiting on my data to get ready in the back end. I'm running it through ChatGPT, deep research, so sometimes that can still take a little bit longer. So here's one of the pillar pages. See, this is not completely accurate though, because remember, and you probably don't know this, but federal flood insurance does not use flood zones any longer. And I was going to say, oh, yeah. Now, what does flood insurance cost in Pelham? In a minute, when we get on this page and we have some data back, we're going to filter in our own data here. Like you can see, hey, $400 to $2,000. That's a pretty wide range there. And see, now it's going back and updating again. Now let me check something. It's still getting there. Now you're starting to see, how this one page here. You can start to see different things here. So you say I can sit here and go back and forth for a while on this, and really coming up with all this different data here and all these different things. Now, as soon as I have my data over here ready, all right, now I have some of my data ready. Let me go ahead and add my data. Whoops, wrong thing there. It is putting the wrong thing in there. So let's do this instead. Here we go. Now you see I'm kind of uploading this page and everything right here. You see the average premium. You see now it's kind of adjusted this. Now we've got, oh, you have to be careful. Sometimes it will try to put a customer name in there. So this is why you always want to take a look at this. And you see how we can look at these addresses here. Coverage amount. Remember, these are just sample kind of addresses we're using here. This is not, this data has kind of been changed. I've probably changed the numbers around a little bit here, but this at least gives us an idea. You could go back and forth with this thing forever. In fact, I'll probably run out of credits for too long. I'm going so deep on this. But you can see how I've done, I'm looking at creekside, lakeside. So when someone comes to me now, I say, hey, here on average is the premiums that we're seeing in different areas of Chandelar and lakeside. Here's the coverage amounts that we see in your neighborhood. And you see how this really helps to improve the sales conversation now. And I can tell people the key is using your own data to improve this. Remember, there's something that your competitor does not have, and that's your data source. Using your data in a responsible and the right way to improve the customer experience and the journey is going to help you increase conversion. It's going to create a better customer experience, a better employee experience. Your team's actually going to have answers to questions, real questions that they need. So this is exactly how you can do this using something like the Endless Customers Title Coach by Marcus Sheridan, using your own data out of HubSpot, Agency Zoom, EasyLinks, whatever it is. But remember, you don't want to upload things like customers' names, date of birth, or anything like that. Like for us, all we used was the street address and the zip code. And then we had AI tell us what neighborhood those zip codes and street addresses were. We didn't have names. We didn't even really even want to have the number. That we want to have just the street address. And you see now I've even had to make sure that it removed the numbers on the street addresses. So when we see this breakdown, you see we can just basically tell people based on the street of what we see people paying. Now I'm going to take this one step further. So you may have this cool page right here, right? Now look, this is giving me cool HTML code and all this different stuff. Probably some little bit of JSON. Always want to make sure the FAQs and schema are included from an AI standpoint. Look, Google says they don't use these that much, and they haven't for a few years. However, it seems that AI still is. And also remember, to maximize the efforts of showing up in AI, have things like charts, graphs, images, videos, all built in there. Now let's see what this thing looks like. Now you can kind of see, and it does not look like this page is actually done yet. So let's see what happens. Watch your slants. And you also see really how fast I could build a web page here. Oh, this is as I said, This is probably a bad example of the web page part. I typically don't use something like this for the web page. I'm using something like a manus.com, a Replit, a Lovable, something like that. So I just kind of want to show you how to do that and how quick you could have that and how you can really take this and put your content and steroids inside of your organization. And look, if you want help doing this, remember, make sure to share, subscribe, like the channel below, and also in the description of this video, you're going to be able to see my contact information. You can just email me, chris@buildinganiche.com. Go to our website, buildinganiche.com. Thank you.